what do we have here? I think it's going to surprise some of you. Stay tuned. Let's find out what it is. Hi gang, Rob here, the evening of 2 December 2013, and I suppose you're not too surprised because you read the title, but let's take a look. You know, I just sold a couple knives with an intention of purchasing either a small lefty Insingo Sabenza or a Hinderer XM18. And after test driving a Hinderer and not being able to find the Hinderer that I want, which would be a non-flipper slicer, 3.5 inch XM18 at any price worth buying, and then finding out that the Insingo lefty small Sabenza would be one of 11 after they made mine ever, and I'd have to wait 4 to 5 months for it. I started thinking about other options, and I thought, you know, I really want another Chris Reeve knife. But, you know, when it comes right down to it, especially since I have to wait 5 months, if I'm going to go smaller than a large Sabenza, I might as well go really small and really dressy and really pretty. So inside this beautiful think twice, cut once, gorgeously finished pouch is, look at that, would ya? It's an Mnandi. Yes, it is. Would you look at that? Tiny little thing. Satin titanium handle on the sides with the inlaid Gabon ebony wood, blasted on the edges. Interesting little knife, I must say. I'm going to leave this open and I'm going to wipe it because it's a fingerprinter. Wow. I didn't quite know what to think when I ordered this knife. I actually bought this on USN from a guy who, I sort of bought it as a catch and release, and it is a lefty Mnandi, which I appreciate. Didn't know what quite to expect. I know that it's just a hair smaller in blade length than a small Sabenza, and the handle is much thinner, narrower. But I didn't know how small would be. I did hear that it weighs about 1.5 ounces, which frankly was hard to believe, having held other Chris Reeve knives. I wasn't sure how you got from, 4.7 ounces in a Sabenza down to 1.5 ounces for this thing, but it is light, guys. I mean, it weighs nothing. It's kind of a little miniature Sabenza with inlays, except the offside inlay isn't split into 2 halves like it is on a Sabenza. It sort of fills up most of the handle. But the same basic lock geometry and lock construction. It is a titanium frame lock. Instead of having 3 points of contact and location like a Sabenza, this only has 2. One back here in this tail standoff, which also is part of the pocket clip assembly, and then the pivot. The stop pin in this knife is a floater. It's just a straight pin that locates into blind holes in either handle scale. which makes it a bit tricky to take apart and put back together, as I found out, because you know me. I never feel comfortable with any knife until I've had it apart, cleaned it, lubricated it, sharpened it, and the Mnandi is no exception. But you really kind of have to, use your fingers as kind of a clamp as you're sliding the blade washer and bushing assembly out. And it does have basically the same pivot assembly as a Sebenza, except the lock side washer, the smaller one, is not perforated. The offside washer, the large washer, is perforated. Lockup on mine is right about 50%. Pretty normal, as I've seen in this knife before. Smoothness, normal Chris Reeve. Everything works just as it should, including that luscious pit, or the luscious detent. Check this out. Just quiet, hydraulic, positive. The opening mechanism on this knife has been a little controversial, I guess. Older Mnandis had the same sort of ambidextrous nail nick, I guess you could call it, but it was much more square cut. The edges of this one are not crisp, and the edges of that trough or that nick sort of radius and slant up to the edge. And I've seen some videos of older Mnandis, and guys are able to kind of dig their thumb in and get that blade out with one thumb. And these new ones, you can't. You sort of have to do a pinch and then get it out. Or you could, just use it as a nail nick like it's really designed to be. But deployment speed is not really an issue on this knife. It is pure and simple a gents folder. An extremely precise, extremely highly finished work of Chris Reeve art. Look at that gorgeous pocket clip. I've had this knife, I got it today, a little before noon. Never had one in my hand before. It felt so tiny when I took it out of the box. Look at that gorgeous pivot. The blued CR logo. But I kind of thought when I got out of the box, I didn't pay brand new retail for this knife, even though it was basically new in box. But the list price on this sort of basic Mnandi with the standard wood inlay, the Gabon ebony is one of the standard woods, is $375. So a little more than a base small Sebenza, a little less than an inlaid small Sebenza. And for $375 you get an 1.5 ounces of titanium wood and steel. Sounds like a lot. Wait. You do get a gorgeous pouch along with your Sebenza. And I guess for most of the knife community, most of my viewers who are, sort of modern tactical knife guys, even traditional knife guys, I'm not sure this knife makes a lot of sense. You almost have to be, I hate to say it, you almost have to be a Chris Reeve fanboy to buy one of these. Maybe not. If you were going to spend $600 to buy a William Henry, I might suggest you buy one of these instead, because quite frankly, it's a better made knife than a William Henry. It's everything you would expect, or everything you've come to expect, construction-wise, tolerancing-wise, fit and finish-wise from a Sebenza, except it's in a 2.94-inch bladed 1.5 ounce gents folder. No detail overlooked. Nothing that you shake your head at when you handle and operate and look at the knife. It's exactly what it's supposed to be, as usual. I wanted something small, something that was non-threatening, good dress knife. And I wanted another Chris Reeve product. And I didn't want to buy another large Sebenza. It was just sort of a great logical next knife for me. Getting to know it today, and I'm going to spend a few weeks with it before I really do a full-blown review. I did sharpen it. Did I mention that? Little wipe here. This hollow ground Chris Reeve clip point blade, pretty thin behind the edge. What you're looking at here is not a compound bevel. This is just 18 degrees all to the edge. Took it rather nicely, I think. Let's see if it's sharp. I kind of think it is. It's kind of wicked, actually. Yep. What we've come to expect. Man, what a pretty blade. And in case you're wondering, the hollow grind is satin and the flats are that beautiful fine stone wash that Chris Reeve Knives applies. Interesting opening motion, don't you think? I thought, man, that's goofy. I saw a YouTube video where a guy did that. It works pretty well, unless you just want to use two hands. Check out how, there is no blade play in any direction, by the way. And check out how free this thing is. Still a little, got a little bit of grease in it, but it's like nothing. What a beauty. Just thought you'd like to see that. More to come, guys. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Christmas is coming. Let's remember why. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Talk to you soon.